Welcome to the first tutorial for MooMu Modular, the latest virtual modular synth simulator. This is the final patch we are going to end up with today. A quick little example of how to make a simple expressive subtractive synthesizer. Right then. So, let's build this patch. To start a new patch, click on the Presets tab on the right-hand side. This will open our file browser. And at the top toolbar, we will click the new icon. First, we need to place our modules. To do this, we will click on the modules on the right-hand side. Where we scroll up and down, we can view all our modules here. And we can also search in the search bar at the top. Right, let's search for the Keys Pad module. As you will see that appear on the right-hand side, let's close our keyboard. We can simply drag and drop our Keys Pad module from the browser into the patching area. Like so. Now if we double-click on the search box again, we will place our VCO voltage-controlled oscillator. This will be our sound source in the patch, so let's search for VCO. If we close our keyboard, we will see the available VCOs. Drag the sine VCO into the patch next. Next, we need a filter. So again, double tap in search bar and start typing filter. Here the filter is presented to us, so let's drag and drop that. And we will also read an envelope module, so let's pan across so we can see our current patch. Double-click in the search box at the top of the module browser and start searching for envelope. We have various envelope generators in MooMu Modular. Closing the keyboard will allow us to see the large envelope module. Again, we drag that in and place next to the filter. Now moving on to the bottom row of modules that you saw earlier, we will need a VCA. Again, double-click in the search box and type VCA. Start dragging and place on the bottom row. You might find you need to scroll your patch over for this. You can do this by dragging a single finger in the watch window. Next, we will need a sum module. This will convert all our polyphonic signals into a monophonic signal. Close the keyboard, T is time, rather than dragging and dropping. We will double-click on Sum module, and it will be placed next to our recently selected module. In this case, the VCA indicated by the white border. Next is the reverb, so double-click on the search box and search for reverb. We are going to use the plate reverb. So we can use either method for this, but I'm going to drag and drop next to our sum module. Finally, we need to do some tidying up. We need to move our audio in our module, so by long-clicking on the panel background, and then dragging the module to the end of the second row. If we click X on the top right-hand corner, this will close all browsers, allowing us to see our full patch. Again, we can pan around with a single finger to adjust the view. This looks like a lot of modules, especially if you're just starting your adventure into modular synthesis. Each module performing a single function. Our Keys Pad module is our access to the virtual keyboard. It has a mini keyboard for use in the patching view and a full screen play area shown in the outer tab as iOS keys, as can be viewed here. The SYN VCO is a voltage-controlled oscillator. This is our sound source. The filter is a multimode filter, which we'll be using in the most common format of a low-pass filter. The envelope module is a fully featured envelope generator was built in VCA. The VCA module, a voltage-controlled amplifier. We will use this for a velocity effects we'll be using from the keyboard. The sum module, this will convert all the polyphonic signals into a monophonic signal. Plate reverb, this will put our sound in a space. And the audio in out module, which is the connection to the audio we hear. Next, we shall place our cables. The color of the cable can be selected on the toolbar. Click on the colored jack on the toolbar. We'll show 5 color options. The color of the cable is for the user. They are all the same to the application. In our example, we use red for audio, yellow for pitch, blue for triggers and clocks, and green for control voltages. A fifth is color provided for other common schemes. Output ports on a module are all indicated by white square. Multiple cable can be connected to an output, but only a single cable can be connected to an input. To place a cable, select the color from the toolbar. Then long press on the port and drag to an input. While you can place the cable, the ports will enlarge to indicate you can connect the cable. If you wish to move the cable, you can drag the end of the cable to a new port. To remove the cable, start the drag and drop and simply drag over a non-port area. So, again, we will select the color on the toolbar. We will click the red cable, and we will start connecting our audio. The audio start at the sine VCO, so we'll take a connection from that, drag it to the input of the filter. We will take the output from the filter and send that to the VCA input of the envelope. This will allow our sounds to increase and decrease over time. We take out of the envelope and connect to the VCA. We will be connecting this in a minute for the velocity of our notes. Take the output of the VCA into the sum module. Feel for using the plate reverb. And then we will connect the output of the plate reverb to the audio in out. Pitch information in the module of world is referred to as volts per octave, as abbreviated VOCT. We'll be using yellow color for pitch cables, so from the left-hand toolbar, select the colored jack and the yellow-colored cable. And we will connect a cable from the VOCT output on the keys pad to the VCO. We will need a gate information. This will let us know when keys are pressed. For this, we'll be using blue cables for all triggers and gates. So we will connect the gate output of our keys pad module to the gate input on our envelope. We will also be using velocity and pressure to make this patch more expressive. For this, we'll be using green cables for control voltages. So we will take the velocity output and plug that into the VCA like so. And the pressure output we will assign to our filter. Before we can play our patch, we just have to set our modules up. Our VCA module will control the loudness of each note. Here, whenever we see 2 knobs together and a jack, these all act as a single control. The large knob will allow us to adjust the value manually. There'll be a signal by this cable, and then the amount of influence this signal has is controlled by the small attenuators. Turn it to the right will give you a positive change, turning this to the left a negative change. For this example, fully clockwise, the velocity has the maximum effect. Now when we press notes on our keyboard, you'll hear our first signal. Okay. Really, for the filter to work, the oscillator needs more harmonics. As the name suggests, this module produces a sine wave. However, if we turn the feedback up fully, hear these notes are much brighter. Let's also turn the octave down, so it says -2 on the status bar at the top. With the velocity control, if we press at the bottom of one of the keys, we'll get a very low note. Whereas if you click higher up on the pad, you will get a much louder note. We can move left and right for pitch bend. So, we also have this pressure, which is sometimes called aftertouch. This is where you press on the note after you finish touching. We have got this assigned to our filter, so if you take this inverter and turn it all the way up so it has maximum effect. We need to tweak our envelope a little bit. If we take the attack down, this will give us some more plucky sound. We will increase our sustain, so we can keep our fingers on the notes, and reduce our release, and reduce our decay a bit. Right, now we have made our masterpiece. We should save this. So if we click on the Presets tab, here we have all the previous saved patches. If we click on Save As, and give it a name, you will see the name being edited here in the file browser. Click on Return to accept this. Patches are automatically saved. There is no need to do any additional saves. To close this browser, we will click on the X on the top right-hand corner. And we are back to our patch. Okay. So there can be lots of controls on a patch. As we can already see, this could be overwhelming when playing live or jamming. So what we have a top parameter area where we can assign controls. These will be available wherever we are with our patch. For this, we're going to assign the attack, decay, sustain, and release of our envelope generator. To add our controls, the top perimeter bar, click on the Edit button in the top right-hand corner. You will notice the top bar turns red. Select a cell we want to assign to. You will notice the cell turns bright red. And then adjust the control you wish to assign. Here you will see the attack control has now been assigned. If we click on the second, again we adjusted the decay parameter, and we can see that's been assigned. The third cell, and the sustain has been assigned. And finally, on the fourth cell, we're going to assign our release. If you realize you've made a mistake and you've assigned control we didn't want. While in edit mode, we can simply double tap on the cell and the cell will become available again. But we really did want our release there, so let's reassign that. To exit edit mode, on the top parameter bar, simply click on the edit icon in the top right-hand corner again. Now, if we move these controls on the top, we will notice as we move this attack here on the top parameter bar knob, the attack knob on the envelope generator over here will move simultaneously. We have a short attack. Let's turn that release down. Now if we want a sound with a longer attack, we'll turn up the attack. You may find this reverb is very large. I would suggest turning the decay parameter down until we are at approximately 0.65. This gives a much more natural sound. Now if we experiment with our release knob, we will turn this up a long way. We can hear our note is sustained for a longer period of time. Okay. This Keys Pads module has a little keyboard. This is very useful while building your patch, but it's not ideal for performance. On the right-hand side, we will see our ISO keys tab. If we click that, we will be presented with a full screen keyboard. The Keys module is an isomorphic keyboard. This works much better on a touch screen than a piano-style keyboard, and has been used by many touchscreen applications. It is also the same as the first 4 strings on a guitar in standard tuning. The play area is divided into 6 rows, and the pitch space between rows is consistent. So once you know the shape of a chord or scale in one position, you can use that shape anywhere. The interval is controlled with the spacing switch. Fourths are common and the default. Fifths and octaves are also possible. The bass octave of the keypad can be controlled, be defaulted as 0. However, we can transpose our keyboard up and down at its bass octave. Transpose it up an octave. Go down an octave from the original. The root and scale control do not make any difference to the sounds. They merely indicate what keys are in the current scale. So here we have a major scale in the root of C, showing C, D, F, G, etc. If we change our note to say a D sharp, here we have the root here, D sharp. There's no interval showing below. Second interval, we have an F. Third interval of G. Our fourth interval is G sharp. The velocity can be controlled by how high up and down we press our keys. So at the bottom, we will get a very quiet note. Higher up, we get a much louder note. Pitch shift by moving left and right. And our pressure is controlled by vertical movement. A good way to learn modular synthesis is to experiment. Try connecting the pressure control to the sine VCO feedback filter resonance or any other parameter. Just move the cable and adjust the small attenuverter above to taste. We've come a long way with this first example, covering placement of modules from the library, identifying ports, adding moving and removing cables, controlling parameters with CV signals, and the use of play surfaces. I hope you have fun. For more content, please hit like and subscribe.